Hello, hello. I am Cassie Brown, and I am thrilled to welcome you to the Amplify My Impact podcast. After years of consulting and managing programs for some of the top entrepreneurs, CEOs, and marketers in the industry, I am on a mission to expand our contribution, to grow, scale, and create more so we can do and give more. This podcast celebrates entrepreneurs who are boldly stepping up to own their calling, expand their influence, and stretch outside their comfort zone, who've decided to stop playing it small, pick up the mantle of contribution, and serve at a higher level, to lead by example and light the way for others. If that's you, then get ready to amplify. There's a fire that burns inside your soul, and we're going to ignite it into a roaring blaze of unstoppable momentum. Hey guys, Cassie Brown here. Welcome back to Amplify My Impact. I am with an incredible dad, entrepreneur, and just smart as a whip, creative, innovative, like you name it, he does it all. And I'm super excited to share not only his story, but the series of launches and businesses that he's been able to create just by serving and seeing a need and creating the solution. Alex Engar is here to share all of this and more. Alex, welcome. I'm so excited to see you.
Oh my goodness, Cassie, thank you so much for having me on your show. I can't believe we finally got to do this. I'm so excited.
I know. For those of you listening, like this is almost a year in the making, because I think the last event that we were at was it a 2 Comma Club event?
So we were at Funnel Hacking Live in January or February of this year, but then last year I think we officially met at Steve Larson's OfferMind event.
That was it. And we were like, we need to do this. And then life happens.
And then life always happens.
So I wrangled him down. It was so funny. We were just preparing for the show before this, and like just so much momentum is happening in both of our businesses. And since touching base just last October, we were going through this. He's done a few launches. We've done a few launches. And here we are. And what we really want to focus on is I want you to hear more of Alex's heart and his backstory on how he transitioned into this. But realize that there's a pattern here that he's creating that is literally building the empire of his business through serving others.
I think that's so interesting to see. Like what I'm a super nerd, Cassie. Like I love looking at what's the pattern in everything. And you're right, there is such a pattern to this. And I would imagine that if you listen to Cassie's podcast and you hear people's stories and you look for what are the similarities, you're going to start finding there's the same pattern over and over and over in entrepreneurship. And I'm sure you've felt that too in your business and life, Cassie. It's like, oh, I do this thing. It leads to this. It leads to this. And there's this, isn't it cool to see that when that happens?
It is. And the thing about it is it makes all of that hard work and the stress and the doubt and the fear, like it makes it all worth it, because it's like you're proving it to yourself, like time and time again, like this works, just keep going.
Well, and that's the funny thing is I feel like I've had to keep proving it to myself over and over again. And even though we've had success, and I'll sort of tell how I got into this whole thing, but even though you have success one time, you still end up in those valleys of like, oh man, I don't know if that was a fluke. I don't know if I can pull that off again. I don't know if I'm capable of this. Was like, am I about to burn out? Like there's all those feelings keep coming up, and it's so reassuring to know that other people feel that way.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you've seen that too.
Totally. And it's Jorge and I talk about this all the time, is like, you think stages of growth is like, okay, I conquered this already, I'll never face it again in my life. And that is the worst plan of attack you can ever have, because at every new level, like you're still, like you said, you're questioning yourself. Well, can I do this again? Like it worked last time. Will this work again?
And then when it does, I'm still always shocked. Like we're just coming out of, so we're in the middle right now when we're recording this, we're kind of in the middle of the coronavirus craziness, right? Hopefully we're near the tail end of this, but mid-April, and as we're talking through this, life has been crazy the past few months for everyone. I didn't know if going into this, as we were launching new products, if everything would just totally flop or what. Like there's still a whole new level of unknowns, right? With all of our businesses. And I still was in very big doubt mode a month and a half ago, like, oh no, are we going to be able to sell anything for like the next 3 months? Like major, like, I don't know. And of course we made some pivots. We made some adjustments to our offers. We actually put out 3 new offers in the past month and a half. And then when they work, I'm still shocked every time. It's like, oh man, it worked. Okay, I'm good. But it's so interesting how entrepreneurship, it's like you can never trust yourself completely for any significant length of time. And you have to keep giving yourself belief, which is why it's so important that people are listening to you so that they can keep having belief in themselves no matter what point they're at in their journey.
Thank you, Alex. And thank you for driving home that point that there is like, because outside looking in, I'm sure there's a lot of people that are like, what do you mean you were worried it wasn't going to work? It's a no-brainer offer. Like it's all of these things that we're taught to check off. You know, we were discussing those hard versus soft skills. And the thing about it is there is a formula, there is a framework, but that doesn't mean that our emotions don't get in the way, you know, So,
and it doesn't mean that it works every time either, even when you follow the formula. And I'll talk through kind of what I've done, but I want to reiterate for all the great things that we've done, we've had stuff that's kind of flopped, like big time. And like I'm on social media every single day, right? I live and breathe Facebook, and I'll still write posts. I wrote a post for a client the other day. We have a very small amount of work that we do done for you. And I wrote a post for a client, and it got 0 likes, 0 comments in her Facebook group that has, 300-400 people right now. And I spent a lot of time on this post. It was really good. I went back through her old content. I wrote this high value post. Nothing, absolutely nothing. And she was like, should we be concerned about this? It's like, no, this is how it works. Like for as much as you might know the formulas and know everything, it's not all going to work all the time. And so the bigger skill is not, do you know copywriting? It's not, do you know engagement on live videos? It's, are you resilient enough to keep pushing when things don't work the first time or the second time, or maybe the 380th time after they have worked? And so that's just, I'm learning so much about resilience and just being okay with things being imperfect right now.
Oh gosh, I love that. It's such the perfect free frame because where we're going, and I want to give you an opportunity here to kind of give everyone that background of your story, because I really feel like it's your pursuit of that resilience that's created these programs and the opportunities. Because, and I will say this, not everyone cares so much about someone coming into their program and completing it. There's so many people who they want to get the sale. They want, the spreadsheet number, the profit margins and all of that. And they know that there's some churn and refunds and all of that loss calculated in there. And then they're good, right? But you paid attention to why were people stuck or why were they not finishing? And that's where we're going. Cause I think that's the door that a lot of people leave closed for far too long. But I want them to understand like your heart and your soul of where you come from and why that means so much to you.
Okay. So can I just tell you from the beginning? So
from the beginning,
from the beginning, I've always been, from the time I was really little, I've always been someone who could find opportunities and that maybe other people hadn't seen and turn them into something that are worth my time. But I, like, from the time I was little, I remember I was 7 years old. My mom gave me a really cool pencil sharpener. And I was like, this is so cool. I'll sharpen pencils. And then I was like, I wonder if my family would pay for me to sharpen their pencils. And so it was called AJ's Perfect Pencils because I went by AJ at the time. And I still have the grand opening sign that I made when I was 7 years old of this little business, sharpening pencils every Saturday for my family. I charged like 10 cents a pencil. And the business probably lasted all of a month. But that sort of entrepreneurship bug has always been with me. When I guess I was 12 years old, we went to Costco and a movie supply chain. And I remember we bought a ton of popcorn from this movie supply place. And I was like, I'm not going to be able to eat it all. Maybe I'll share it with friends. And my mom was like, well, don't just give away all the popcorn. I was like, well, what if I sold the popcorn? And a week later, I opened up Al's Sugar Shack, which was this very profitable business as a little 12-year-old where I'd get kids coming to buy candy. And I started to learn, how do I attract the kids to come buy candy? And it was, I'd go play basketball out in the yard. All the kids would flock. We'd play basketball. Well, they'd get hungry and thirsty. And then they need to buy food and drink. And so I just learned early on, like, oh, if I take something of value, I can create a way for me to create income for myself out of nothing. And so I challenged myself from the time I was very young. How can I come up with creative ways to support myself? And so I've actually never had a full-time job. As I was looking back at it, I've never once had a full-time job. And that led me to the point where I was going to be a physician. I was ready for med school. I got married. The whole plan was I was going to go to med school. My wife's a nurse. And so we had this great plan. Right before I applied, like I literally took the MCAT. I had done all the stuff. I jumped through all the hoops. I was ready. I had the GPA, I had the physicianing shadow hours. And we found out that we were pregnant with our first child. And that same week, I went and talked with one of my friends who was in medical school. And I was expressing to him my concerns about, I want to be a present dad. And I was thinking through, having kids is a massive, massive shift. And I realized, man, I'm all of a sudden not just going to be responsible for myself anymore, but I'm going to be responsible for raising another human. I don't know if I'm ready to dedicate 80 hours a week to a profession when what I really care about is being able to be present and provide a life that I want for my family. And that friend told me something that has stuck with me ever since. He said, if you're not ready to dedicate 80 hours a week to the profession, maybe you should think about another path. I was like, oh, that hit me like literally a ton of bricks. I went home that night, did not tell my wife. She went off to work, and I sat there in tears in the morning thinking, I'm going down the wrong path. And that was a really defining moment for me. And I started looking at, okay, what is everything else that I've already done? And how can I just use my existing skill sets, use my existing experience and move forward towards a better path? For me at the time, I thought that better path was going to be physical therapy. I wanted the doctorate degree. I wanted the letters after my name. It was a pure vanity thing. But I also really value education. And so I thought, look, I know that I want to get more education than I had. So I committed to physical therapy school. It's a 3-year doctoral program. Year 1 of PT school, I realized that still was not going to satisfy what I felt like I could achieve in life. And it wasn't going to give me the flexibility that I wanted career-wise. And so I'm someone who, when I say I'm going to do something, I stick with it till it's done. I finished physical therapy school knowing that I probably wasn't going to be a full-time treating PT. And I'll tell you, Cassie, when I was in that 3rd year going through my last rotations, and I just felt this massive dissonance with the path that I was going on versus what I felt like I needed to be doing. And I don't know whether you or someone who's listening right now has ever felt that dissonance in their life of, I've done so much work to get here, and yet I don't feel like the path forward is the path forward. I need to take a detour. Have you felt that before?
Oh my gosh. Yes. Yes. So I went through like the ideal American childhood, like school, good grades. I did dual enrollment in high school, so I graduated early. I got my MBA. I was on the fast track with corporate. I started working with the Pillsbury company like at 19 years old. And then I was being groomed for management. And then all of a sudden, like something shifted, and our boss got a new boss who was micromanaging and like, just like it was when you talk about the dissonance and like the wind knocked out of you, where it was like all of a sudden this environment that you were running towards was like, this is not what I want. I cannot act like them. I cannot train like them. I cannot treat people like them. And I am definitely not going to spend like the most like robust years of my life slaving away for somebody else. And it was like, just like that. And let's see, it was before Hudson was born. So, I mean, early 20s, like Adam and I, we both quit our jobs.
Wow. That's so scary too, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
When you decide to make
kids
that
at the time. It would be a totally different story if we had kids, right. I think.
So that's kind of where I was at in this feeling of, man, I've chosen a path, but I really don't feel like it's the right one now. And so I started looking at what other options are out there to use my existing skill set, use all of my experience, but move forward in a different way. And I just remember sitting in PT school, never feeling like the other people in my class, never feeling like a physical therapist. And I remember sitting there one day and I was during class, and I pulled up my journal. I had a journal on my computer, and I wrote in there, I don't know why, but I feel like I'm not ever going to be a full-time PT. I need to do absolutely everything I can to avoid that. And I still really don't know where that feeling came from, why it was so strong. But I just knew that there was another path that I needed to go on. And so I started studying people like Pat Flynn and his smart passive income community. I started following people like Ramit Sethi, who actually was the very first online course I ever purchased. And I spun my wheels for a little while, but by the end of PT school, it was very clear that I didn't want to be a PT. I still studied for my national board exam, but I was prioritizing other things. So I started a podcast on personal development. I started learning Facebook advertising. I started learning all these sort of social skills. I had started a little personal finance blog that I never ever published. And I learned all these little skills. And then it got to the point where I had my hands in like 5 different projects right before I graduated. I was running this podcast, and we were sort of trying to figure out how to monetize it. I was running Facebook ads for a clinic. I was trying to do my own consulting for other clinics out there. And I had these 5 different projects. I was doing this credit card travel hacking little side business. Anyway, I had these 5 different things I was doing with no feeling of direction. I had no clue what I should be doing, but just the feeling that the path I was on wasn't the right one. So it's in like this frantic exploration mode. And then eventually something stuck. One thing started to become clear, and that was I could help other physical therapists who had practices learn digital marketing for themselves. And so I teamed up with a friend. His name is Will Boyd. He's one of my best friends in the world. Teamed up with a friend who was in a very similar situation, and we just started a Facebook group. And like, I was still a brand new grad. I was a month out of PT school. And we were stepping into this place where there were all these other gurus out there. There were 4 big ones specifically in our industry who were already teaching, who already had very successful practices themselves, had these big programs. But what we started seeing was they had these great big courses teaching people high-level marketing skills, but they didn't have the capacity to teach them how to actually do any of it. Hey, here's how to go set up your Facebook ad. Here's how to go edit this video. Here's how to go set up this thing on your website. And so we just found a teeny tiny little gap in the marketplace where we could insert ourselves. And even though we weren't experts by any means, I just was 1 or 2 steps ahead. And so I said, look, if we can just teach people this stuff, maybe we can make something out of it. And that turned into people asking us, hey, could you just put this into these free Facebook videos that you're doing? Could you just put them into a library? Because it's overwhelming to go find them. And we'll pay you for it. And I was like, well, you'll pay me for that? And that we sold our first $100 program with a bunch of Facebook Live videos. It was like 60 videos that we packaged into a course in ClickFunnels. And we made our first $10,000 online with that. And I was just blown away that could ever be a thing. And that was the start of something that now has led us to a path where we are both providing for ourselves full time. We just hit the $500,000 mark in revenue in, I think it was January, for our business. We both transitioned completely out of physical therapy. I actually never did end up treating patients. I kind of side hustled my way into it. I never have treated a patient as a physical therapist, but now we run a business helping people with online courses and online launches. And it's just been ridiculous to me to see how one little feeling of dissonance can lead to a course of action that can completely change your life in a way that you never imagined it.
Oh my gosh, I love it. I love it. And I'm so thankful that you followed that intuition. A lot of people fight that intuition, and they don't have the confidence to just push back, where it's like, maybe this is telling me something, you know? And that's sort of like, you know, when I shared with you, that was that same thing with me. I was lucky enough to have the entrepreneurial like enough of an entrepreneurial raising with my mom and her business that I was like, I knew there was a way out. Like, I don't have to do this. But there's a lot of people who don't, like, they only have what they know, and it's scary. So I love that you wrote yourself. It's almost like you wrote that to yourself, like as a reminder, you know, like a subconscious reminder, like you have to figure this out.
Yeah, journaling has played a really big role as I look back in my journey. I don't know if do you journal at all, Cassie?
I do not as often as I like to. I need to write down more, for sure.
I'm in the same boat lately as things have gotten a little crazy, but I look back, and so much of my path in life for the past, I don't know, really decade has hinged off these little thoughts that I've had that I just wrote down. that kind of simmered in there. And then I realized maybe those tiny little thoughts were sparks of inspiration that I needed to follow. So I've gotten a lot more diligent in writing those things down. And I just can't tell you how much clarity and guidance I end up getting from writing down those little thoughts. And it's amazing how when you start writing something down, if you give yourself a little bit of time, even 5 minutes to just explore that and just keep writing, what comes to your mind, the clarity that can come from just one little spark of a thought that's really, I feel like, just inspiration for much bigger things coming that none of us really have a clue what's in front of us. But I truly believe that we're given inspiration if we're willing to listen to it and willing to explore it. We're given clarity on the path, and it's not always perfect clarity, but it might just be a next step. And I've gotten so many of those little, here's the next step, let's follow it. Even if it's blind after that, I'll just follow that little next step and see what happens.
Yeah. And I want to talk about that blind next step is, so you caught us up, you launched the Facebook group that shocked the pants off you. Then people were asking for you to create, a consolidated library of your courses. And when we were talking and we were preparing, we were looking at the path and finding the pattern, and you realized that there was a gap where you created a program for people to also help them create the digital courses. So this was their way out. This was their path, that you were helping them achieve. And that's where you started paying attention to, and you realized not everybody was finishing. So you listened to that intuition and you asked the question. And that's what I love about this. And if you're listening, I want to emphasize two things when we're transitioning to this next topic is one, just the power of proving the concept once. It doesn't have to be a 6-figure launch. It doesn't have to be a super ridiculous success to know that you're on the right path. Just do it once, get their first client, right? And I don't want to spoil it too much, but can you share with us that next gap that you found and stepped into?
Yeah. So I mentioned early on that I was running some Facebook ads for a clinic, right? Very early on. Interesting thing is I ran the Facebook ads. We actually got really good results with one person. It happened to be the first person. I ran multiple. They didn't really work. And then we figured out one strategy and that worked. And we started sharing it with other people in our Facebook group. But it really started with one person that I was able to have some measure of success with, that other people would also want to have that same kind of success, right? And over, you're just going to start seeing a pattern that if you have an expertise, if you have something that you have accomplished for yourself, I can guarantee you that there's somebody else who wants to accomplish that same thing. And so the path as an entrepreneur, at least for me, has been, how can I accomplish something that somebody else also wants to accomplish? And then see, can I accomplish that for somebody else, right? You start with, in our program, we call it serve the one. And you just find, can I serve one person and get a result for them? So I got a result for Facebook ads for one person. Then it started to become a little bit known through our Facebook group that, we can run ads. And we started testing it with a couple people, and that one person led to 2, to 3, to 4. And then I actually had somebody reach out and say, hey, I will hire you to do this. Because at this point, I had done it for free. And I'm a big proponent of doing something for free to prove to yourself that you can do it, to get confidence, and then finally get paid for it. But the very first paid client I had, I asked for $500 to run the same Facebook ad. It was the same essential ad, right? But different, to their location. Absolutely flopped. 0 results. I refunded that client. Like, it's not going to go perfectly when you get into this. But I started realizing, okay, what are the keys to success with this one client? And what can I learn from this failure? What can I learn from somebody who didn't get any results? Why didn't they? Cool. How do I start building that into more and more people? And so there is this pattern of get results for one person, start sharing it with a couple others, see if you can get results for them, and then find your framework. And Russell's talked about this a lot lately, where your framework, I truly believe, is the key to success in your business. If you have a good framework and you know how to talk to people about the result that you can get them with it in a way that they care about for an outcome that they want, you can have a very profitable business. And so my entire purpose as a business owner is to, number one, figure out which group of people do I like to help, that I can get them a result that they want and are willing to pay for? And then how do I get that result for them and create a recipe for it, aka create a framework for it? And if I can do that, then all I need to do is start listening to people, asking them what they want, why they want it, and just reflect that back to them as I put myself out there and create content. And over and over and over again, we've done this where you just find that where's a gap in the marketplace? Where's something that people are trying to solve for themselves right now? What's the outcome that they want? Can I get that outcome for one person? If so, can I start replicating it? And then can I figure out what's the recipe? What's the pattern behind how I'm getting that success? Boom, then I can go create a program for it. And you're right, Cassie, like we had this launch of a program in October where we really finally said, great, we had all this one-on-one success with people. What's the pattern? We created an online course that sort of walks people through that pattern, and we launched it. It was wildly successful. It was a 6-figure launch for the first launch of the program, which is great. But then we haven't launched it since. It's been almost 7 months now since we launched it. 6-figure program, 100 plus students. We've gotten them good results. But I'm not about to say, I'm ready to pour lots of paid ads into this. I'm ready to just open up because I know I've got something that I can sell. We still haven't opened it up again because we want to get people as good, consistent results as we possibly can. And that I feel like is such a responsibility, a stewardship that we have as course creators, as coaches, to validate that we can actually get someone the result that we're promising them before we say, great, open up the hatches. And so it's probably slowed our business down. I mean, we absolutely could have opened it up again. We could be running Facebook ads right now, probably could have made an extra couple $100,000, but I don't feel comfortable yet saying, yes, this is ready to open up to the masses and be running ads to, if I'm not 100% confident that, yeah, this is a path that I feel comfortable saying, yes, we should do. And so we're at the point right now in our business where we're refining very heavily our programs to say, great, what do I need to tweak so that I can feel confident selling this to someone, saying that, yes, you can get the outcome and I can do it at mass.
I love it. I love it. And then are you okay if we kind of reveal how you're filling that gap to make sure
totally.
that they get over that?
Absolutely.
Okay.
So can I just talk about how we figured out what the gap was?
Yeah.
So the program goes through how to launch an online course to an audience. Okay, so we're experts ourselves, right? We're physical therapists ourselves. We work with people who have some sort of expertise. Usually we're not working with people who are doing affiliate marketing. We're working with people who say, I have something inside of me that I want to share with the world and I want to create my own programs. Awesome. What we did is, after we worked with a bunch of people one-on-one, we've gotten, I think it's 9 businesses now to their first $100,000 online from scratch, which is really, really fun. We realized, great, here's the process. What do we need to create to help them launch the program? And so we have this program, it's called Launch Code. And as people went through it, we started realizing, man, some people had this fast success. We have people who have $30,000, $40,000, $10,000 launches where it's like, man, that's amazing, it works. But then there's a subset of people that didn't have anything yet, that got stuck, that would spin their wheels. And we all know if you're a coach and you're helping people through it, you know that you're going to have the people who rise quickly through it and just get results. And they're probably going to get results without you, but you just help them get them faster. But then there's the group of people that get stuck. And there's the group of people that spin their wheels and they do the work, but they don't get the result yet. And you have to figure out why. And so we looked at our program. We said, the people who were stuck, where do they get stuck? And we just started asking, hey, where are you stuck right now? And we started seeing, again, a pattern. People were getting stuck that they weren't getting enough feedback from their audience because they didn't really have an engaged audience to begin with. And so we said, okay, realistically, before you launch a program, then what do you need to have? What's the benchmark to say, yeah, it's time to go look at launching a program or putting out a beta offer for someone? We realized people need to know how to get people to interact with them. They need to know how to attract people to them and how to engage with them. They need to be able to grow an audience. And so we said, can we splinter off a program that's focused solely on helping them create an audience? And the way that we did it was through a Facebook group. And the way that most of our clients who have hit the 6-figure mark have done it is also through a Facebook group. So we said, well, can't we just create something that's specific to that? And so we created a splinter program, kind of a pre-program, if you will. And it's been so liberating to have a lower priced program that's a complete no-brainer for the people doing it, that helps them move towards a very specific outcome. In this case, growing a Facebook group. And so that's how we've looked at our big program and said, what do we need to take out of it to get people the best results so that they can then go be incredible case studies and have these amazing businesses that can serve lots and lots of people themselves. And I just feel like it's on us as course creators, as coaches, to figure out where are people getting stuck? What do we need to create in order to get them past those sticking points to ultimately get them to where they really want to go?
Oh my goodness. I love it. So if you're paying attention, those are two huge points amidst, the just valleys of gold that Alex has already shared so far. But number one, get your first client, get the one person results, and then pay attention to how you did it. That is going to start to reveal the foundation of your framework. And I think a lot of people get lost in this, where they sit down with a piece of paper and they're like, I need to come up with my own proprietary process on how I'm going to do this, not reverse engineer how they did it.
Yes. Oh my goodness. No, you're so right. And I think that we all get stuck in, what's the course that I'm going to create? What's the program going to be that I create? And then we sit down, we try to bullet point it all out. It's like, it's so much easier to accomplish something worthwhile yourself first, right? We absolutely have to try to accomplish it ourselves first, or we simply find someone who wants that outcome and say, hey, I would love to help you get here. I'm just getting started with this. I'm a fan of being open and honest about where you are in the process, so we don't overpromise things. But look, I would love to help you do this. Here's the plan for it. I think that it's really wise to go in with a big picture, kind of 10,000 foot view plan of how we might get those results for someone when we're first trying to get it with them. But then say, look, we're going to figure this out together. I'll be with you every step of the way. We'll get on calls every week. Whatever it takes, I'm going to help you get there. And then along the way, you're taking notes. Hey, this is what we did. This worked. Oh, this didn't work. Okay. Oh, this thing worked with them. Interesting. And then I really firmly believe if you can get results for one person, and then you can go to a second and say, hey, we got this result. I'd love to help you with this. I just want feedback along the way, and I'll be willing to do it for free. Can you do that? Yeah. Okay, great. That's exactly what I've done over and over and over again to figure out what's my process and how can I ultimately create a quote unquote course or program from it. And you're right. It's so much easier to reverse engineer the success than to try to plan it all out to the T and hope that it's going to work and sell that hope.
Right. And then as you prove that concept and you start to grow and you scale, you're paying attention to those future gaps in opportunity, right? And because that was the one thing that I'm so glad that I recorded our conversation catching up, because I'm going to figure out where to use it, because it was just so much fun. But it is in the span of 7 months, I think you've gone through 3 or 4 different launches. And some people will spend 2 years on not even launching one. And that is the thing is you mentioned imperfect action. You mentioned that taking that you call it, what was it? Serving one or?
I call it serve the one.
Yeah. Serve the one. We call it impact one, but it's the same premise where you just pick one and be committed to the outcome, right? Work so hard that you're going to get the result that you desire and that they desire. It doesn't matter the amount of money. You have to prove this to yourself and to them. Then you pay attention to the gaps in the opportunity in the marketplace, and that's going to reveal your next step. And then you just keep going, you keep refining, and you truly care about serving beyond that finish line. Yeah. And so I know we're coming up to the top of the hour.
No, you're good.
I could literally, I feel like we could just go forever, but I want to also just know where you guys are going. This is incredible momentum. And really, if you're paying attention, this is a set formula for momentum. You have to be willing to fail. You have to be willing to fall on your face and learn. You had mentioned not everything succeeded, but you didn't stay there. You didn't whine or cry or mourn the loss of anything, or let, those inner voices tell you, don't even get up. You got up and you kept going. And I think that is where scaling and amplifying our impact, that's the sweet spot.
Yeah, I think for us, the hard thing has always been that we are so focused on client results that we allow that we keep stopping ourselves from saying, hey, it's time to grow it. And so that to be honest, if I were to look at our business and say, what's our biggest fault? I feel like it has been that we care so much about how we get results for people that we'll often say, it's not perfect yet. We can't keep pushing it out. We can't keep moving forward. Like we don't do paid advertising. We haven't up to this point, very minimally. And the funny thing is, we started our business with teaching paid advertising for clinics, right? And now as we've moved online, we've been able to do so much organically that we haven't, we've been validating so much of what we've done to good success that, I feel like the next step for us is we have all of our processes, we have all of our systems, and now as we finish refining sort of our core methodology, it will be time to turn the faucet on and really get paid traffic going to things. I think that you go through this journey as an entrepreneur where you're at first in this discovery mode, where I was. At the beginning, I had these 5 different projects I was working on. We've had multiple courses that we've launched over the years. We actually, at the beginning of 2019, we closed our flagship program that had made well over 6 figures, closed it, snapped our fingers overnight, stopped selling it because we didn't feel like that was the place where we really ultimately wanted to end up in the marketplace. And so we've been in this discovery mode. And I feel like as an entrepreneur, you spend a lot of time there early on. The first 3 years, honestly, for us have been about discovery and just figuring out where do we want to fit into things. And now that we're really starting to solidify where do we want to fit in, who do we want to serve, and how do we serve them, now we move from discovery to really true execution mode, where there really is a pretty clear blueprint, right? The blueprint is we figure out who we serve, how we solve their problem, where we fit into the marketplace, and then we start really blasting our message out there with paid advertising within the context of the systems that we've got, right? So that's really our next steps. But again, it comes back to this core of you just have to believe in yourself enough that you can help one person get a result that they want. Yeah. From there, we start seeing, do other people have a similar problem? Wonderful. Can I start talking about that problem on social media? Can I start sharing my experience? Can I share about my life? Can I share about my values? Can I just talk to people in a real human way about what's going on and how to achieve what they want? Yeah, I can do that. And then can I move a little bit further and get paid to help people? Oh, great. I can get paid to help someone. My goodness, it's amazing. Now, can I get paid to help a couple people or 10 or 20 solve that problem together at the same time in a group program? Yeah, I can do that. Wonderful. From that group program, I can expand it and say, great, if I can help 20 people, could I help 100? I can help 100? Sweet. And we're at that phase right now where we validate we can help 100 people at the same time. And now, can I get in front of and help thousands at the same time? That's where then the scale really comes into place and things get crazy.
Yeah. Okay. I love it. I love it. So I love that you just walked through that, and because you and I are both huge supporters of organic traffic, and it's so funny because so many people ask me like, don't you do paid traffic? And like, yes, I do paid traffic for my clients, but we won't run anything if they don't have an organic presence. And I just tell them, like, I've probably said no more times than I've said yes. If they don't have a consistent organic presence and care about that relationship, I just flat out tell them, here's the steps that you need to take to get ready to pay, to move into paid traffic. But I'm going to warn you right now, if you're going to talk to other agencies, they are going to tell you something different because it is their business. Paid traffic is their business. So there is an agency that will take your money. But you're either going to pay 4 or 5 times amount that you are for that paid traffic, or you can build up your organic footprint first and still grow exponentially because, like where you outlined, you'll have the people to ask, and the people that matter to ask. Is this the right thing? Is this what you need? And to identify those gaps. So I love you for that. I appreciate just your commitment to the integrity of marketing. And where can people find you? Like share where you hang out, what you're up to, how we can continue to support you and all of the good work that you're doing.
Oh, thank you so much. You could probably the best place to find me and sort of the millions of resources that we've created at this point is our website, healthyfunnel.com. That's not funnels, healthyfunnel.com. I'm actually just getting up a personal website finally, which will be live within the next month, alexengar.com, where you can see sort of all the projects that I'm involved in. But I spend a lot of time on social media, on Facebook, and you can find all the links there on healthyfunnel.com for that.
Okay, awesome. All right, so 1 minute, final word. Anything that we didn't cover that is really, really special or important to your heart that you would want to just pass to the next generation of entrepreneurs or those who are growing their business like you to make a bigger impact?
Yeah, this phrase has stuck with us since the beginning, as we have been these experts who have been conditioned to feel like if you're not at a super high level of expertise, you're not ready to share your gift with the world, which is, as a medical provider, you go through years of schooling before you can touch a patient. I have learned as an entrepreneur that it's absolutely the opposite, that instead you need to focus on taking imperfect action, because perfect action always beats perfect inaction, which is the heart of most entrepreneurs as well. And I've just learned that imperfect action is the way to go. It's not going to feel ready yet. And if you don't feel ready yet, it's the perfect time to take the next step.
Thank you, Alex. I appreciate you so much. Thanks for hanging out with us. Thank you guys for listening in, and we will see you soon next time. Thanks so much for spending time with me today. I hope you've received value, encouragement, and exactly what you need to help keep you in momentum to grow and impact the world around you. Big or small, we all make a difference. Thanks also for subscribing, downloading, and leaving a review. This helps us reach others who need this message in their life. If you know anyone who would benefit from this podcast, please share so you and I can help more people boldly step into purpose. It is my heart's mission to help and encourage others. My internal belief that a rising tide lifts all ships. So much of what we talk about on the podcast is leading with value and building relationships through service. So we've created a collection of resources for you to continue growing, whether you are just getting started or ready to scale your business. Visit amplifymyimpact.com for show notes, downloads, programs, and more information about how to directly work with our team to amplify your impact and change the world.